Academy. I'm also the former Northern Vice Chairman for the Libertarian Party of California, so I'm very familiar, born and raised in California. We're going to go ahead and we'll do introductions. The way the format's going to go, each candidate will have 5 minutes to do an introduction. Then we'll go through some questions listed on the Libertarian Party of California Facebook group. And we're going to go ahead and get started with Mimi Robson, who is a current sitting chair of the Libertarian Party of California. She was a secretary before that, ran for state assembly in 2018, advancing through the top 2 primary. So Mimi, go ahead and take it away.
Well, hi, it's 7:31. I probably won't take the whole 5 minutes. I've been the chair since last April. I came in as secretary in 2017, first before the convention, and then I was elected at the convention as secretary. I hadn't actually anticipated becoming chair when I did, but the sitting chair had to resign because he moved to Texas. So in the last year, I've learned a lot. You know, coming into it, there was a lot I didn't know, and I admit what I didn't know, and I believe I've grown from that. So coming into being chair, I found out that there had been a lot of things that just hadn't been done in a long, long time. And so I've spent the last year trying to get things organized, to try to set up best practices, to try to work very closely with others in the party, especially the treasurer, to make sure that we don't have issues in the future, which we did at the time. And I've also learned something really important, and this may sound really silly, but Nick Sarwark always says that the chair is the least important person in the room. And when I first heard that, I thought he was being just kind of facetious. But I've learned that, in fact, as chair, one of the things you have to be able to do is you have to be able to listen to others. We're a party of individuals. So with that, and especially we're individual libertarians, you have to be able to sit back. You can't let your own opinions override what's going on. You have to be able to listen. You have to be able to moderate. You have to be able to keep things running smoothly without insinuating your own opinions. And that's something that I've learned. The other thing I've learned, though, is that we didn't have processes in place. We weren't really functioning like a political party that wanted to win elections. So one of the things that I've focused on is raising money. We've raised a lot more money in the last year than we had in the several years before. I do have a website that has a lot of statistics to it. We've got a higher bank balance than we've had since we've been keeping track, so 2010. And all of these things are going to put us in a position to actually win elections, which is, I think, the main focus. That's our statement of, I mean, that is what we're supposed to do, is we're supposed to run candidates that get elected. And that's something that we need to do a better job of helping our candidates, which, by the way, is also the reason I got involved in the first place, because when I ran the first time, I found there wasn't much in place to help candidates. So I've been working very hard with the Candidate Support Committee. We've put on some very successful fundraisers. And going forward, I want to continue this momentum. I think that we've got a good team working together now, and I think that we've got a lot that we can do. And I think I've got a minute left, but I'm pretty much done with my introduction.
Thank you, Mimi. We're going to move on to Robert Imhoff. Robert is the current treasurer of the Santa Clara County Libertarian Party and has served as an at-large member of the Libertarian Party of California. Robert, please introduce yourself.
Hi, yes, thank you. My name is, in fact, Robert Imhoff. My full name, Robert Imhoff-Dousharm. I'd like to point that out because I was adopted later in life and amended the additional name there. So it's very important that everybody knows my full surname and its meaning there. But in addition to being the treasurer of the Santa Clara County Libertarian Party, which I have been for the last 2.5 years, I'm also, I was the director of volunteerism for the 2016 Gary Johnson campaign, working really closely with people like Boomer Shannon and John Jake to ensure that the message of our presidential candidate was getting out there. And I think that's also very worthy of bringing up because, as Mimi noted in her opening remarks, there's a lot going on with this party, and there's a lot that when people try and engage, they want to be candidates, or they want to learn more about candidates. Historically, at least in the last few years, we hadn't always done a great job of that. And things that have improved over the last 2-3 years, but I feel like we're getting to another plateau where people are getting comfortable with where they're at or where they think we should grow next with candidates. And I think there is no plateau. Specifically in the last year, we ran about almost 40 candidates statewide as libertarians or as registered libertarians running for nonpartisan positions. However, we didn't do a really good job through our candidate support committee or through the state party itself with truly looking at the words candidate support committee. It was more of a, we have some money, maybe we can give it to you. There wasn't things like, here's a workshop on filling out FPPC forms. Here's a mailing list you sign up for as a candidate to get reminders that the forms have to be filled out and turned in by this certain time. And as a result of that, about 3 of our candidates ended up getting fines from the FPPC. Some very minor, like $200, others upwards of $3,000 in fines. And I feel like if we have the resources, we should be openly sharing them. And I think that's something that I can really bring in my experience, having been the treasurer for over 6 different candidates and the current treasurer of the local party here. So that's that one focus. The other focus is there's this tonality that the state party is the state party and all of the counties are the counties. And the state party kind of does its thing and the counties kind of do their thing. But in actuality, what our bylaws say and what we've always said since we started this party in the early 70s as a state party is it's the counties that are the party, and we as the state party need to be facilitating them. Right now, there's this kind of sense that we're here and they kind of serve us, or we just kind of tell them what to do. And I think that's a tonality change that only the chair position can really change in the party. And that's important that the counties know they are the ground up of the party. And the state party will do everything it can to push down assistance where needed. A great example is the state assembly and the state senate. You know, I ran for state assembly district 25 last year, and it covered both Santa Clara County and Alameda County. So coordinating between Alameda County and Santa Clara County to help enable a candidate, that's something that the state party can really do a better job of that we haven't seen in the past. The other thing is, yes, we're a political party. We need to get higher registration. We need to get more people running for office and winning offices. But those are just statements. We know that. That's what a political party does. What we need to do is translate those statements into goals. And right now, I just don't see goals. We don't say we have, $42,000 in the bank right now. We don't have a goal to say by the end of the year, we need to raise $50,000. We have to have $20,000 left over because the primaries are now in March. That's a goal that we set for ourselves. We try our hardest to achieve that goal. So with that, I'm going to defer the rest of my time, but those are my opening remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. And next up, we have Josh Smith. He is the former Region 5 Director for the Libertarian Party of Washington. He recently ran for chair of the National Libertarian Party, and he's currently working on a documentary on libertarianism. Josh, take it away.
Hey, thank you so much, Michael. First, I want to start by saying thank you to the Libertarian Party of Los Angeles for hosting this this forum for us. Thank you to Michael for moderating, and thank you to the other candidates for showing up to hang out for an hour. As he alluded to, I was a region rep. I'm also currently an at-large member of the Libertarian National Committee. I'm also the treasurer of the Contra Costa Party and the chairman of the Affiliate Support Committee for the National Party. My entire life is liberty. It's what I do. for those of you who don't know, I came to the Libertarian Party for the first time around 2010 after seeing Ron Paul talk about anti-war stuff. And that was the big motivator for me to become a Libertarian and to start getting involved with the party. And at the time, I didn't really find an outlet for my activism. So I moved on to doing publication work and trying to make a film now and all that stuff. I've always been doing some of that stuff, but since I ran for chair last year, I got to travel around the country and meet affiliate members from all over, from 26 states. I got to learn about marketing. I got to learn about how to run an effective meeting. I got to learn about how to build campaign plans, how to help fundraise, and all that stuff is really stuff that I want to see brought to the Libertarian Party of California. I want us to work on candidate recruitment and education. I think we should have a system of educating our candidates. We have wonderful candidates all over the state who run, great campaigns, but they don't know how to build a campaign plan. They don't know how to recruit for their campaign teams. They don't know how to fundraise. And so I want some kind of centralized system where we are doing those trainings. And I totally agree with Robert on this. I think we should be running trainings on finance and how to build these teams, and doing stuff like that is really, really important to our candidates. And I also think recruiting candidates and finding strong candidates around the state that are looking for a viable political party home. I got to work with Michael Pickens last year on some of this, calling candidates around the country and trying to get them to run. And I think I have that same fire, and I can bring that here into California. I also want to focus on membership retention. I think membership is what drives this party. It's what funds us. It's the people who show up to our events and give us money, and we just can't operate without members. And so I really want to look into some interesting mail out programs, something like Project Archimedes that the National Party did for a long time, where we mail out members or non-members or past members or people that we think might be interested in the Libertarian Party and start really trying to make them feel like they have a home with us. And that rolls over to the donor amplification. Like I said, we really need money. $45,000 sounds like a lot, but it's not. It's really not a lot of money for a large state political party. And I think we can do better. And I think we need to start tapping. And actually, I heard about this at the Santa Clara convention that Robert was helping to lead. We really need to start tapping into some of the big corporations and industries here in California that are just getting beat down by regulations and taxation. And so I also want to talk about activist continuity. We have great activists. The Libertarian Party is a party built on the backs of some of the hardest working activists in the country. But sometimes they leave, and they come and they go, and they go to one of the two old parties, and with them goes all of their activist knowledge. And so I want to build a program where it can be an open source program, maybe on the state website, where activists can blog about the successes that they've had with campaigns, finance, anything that they've had success with, they can blog about, so that the activists who come after them have the keys to figure out how to do this stuff. And last thing I really want to talk about is legislative coalitions. We're watching some of this stuff really start to take hold over there in Colorado with the legalized shrooms movement that they have. They have 5 different political parties working on one legislative issue, and it's gaining steam. And in California, there's millions of people, and every single one of those people sees eye to eye with the Libertarian Party on at least one issue. And they don't have to join the party for us to find success in legislation. We just need to start building coalitions. And so I would like to see us build some kind of team where we lobby at the state capitol. We start going out and looking for members of other parties that want to sign on to legislation. And then we start stamping the Libertarian Party of California name on legislation, be it good or bad, against or for. And we start that paper trail that I think is really, really important for a state party. And with that, I will yield the rest of my time.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. Robert, this first question, we're going to go ahead and start with you, then go to Mimi, and then to actually then to Josh and then to Mimi. So Robert, how do you plan to increase outreach by the Libertarian Party of California?
Yeah, great first question. And that's kind of my bread and butter right now. Working with the team here in Santa Clara County, outreach is basically one of our core principles. And you can look at outreach in a couple of different ways. The first way that we look at outreach is how are we reaching out to the community and the community groups within the county? And as Josh just noted, like those coalitions, right? So we're doing outreach right now with the Golden State Second Amendment Coalition, which is a Second Amendment gun rights organization. We're also working with the First Amendment Coalition, which actually just had a lot of great news coverage, press coverage around things like allowing people to speak at Berkeley and San Jose State. And we have people that are members of those organizations that are libertarians, that are members of the Libertarian Party. And so we're sharing our ideas with them, and that's translating to them feeling comfortable to let us into the fold on their projects. And then when we're in the fold on their projects and we show success, then they either want to learn more about us or start voting for us or becoming aware of us. You know, a lot of these coalitions up here we're working with are mostly Republican driven. And so they don't want to change their party status, but they don't have a Republican running. So they're no longer plugging their nose when they're voting for a libertarian that's not a Republican. They're just saying, you know, it's the libertarian, I'm comfortable with that, and it's not a Democrat. So those kind of outreach efforts, as Josh said, we know that those work because they're working here in Santa Clara County. Other kind of outreach efforts are within the party or encouraging each county to coordinate with one another. So we're already working on a 9-county Bay Area coalition, and we've already got Contra Costa County, which Josh Smith is a part of. They're working with us, Alameda County, Solano County, San Francisco County, even not 9-county people like Santa Cruz, since they're so close to us, are working very closely. And that kind of outreach, when you show what you're doing successful in your county, you then have that replicated in other counties. And when they do it in other counties, you see that and you do it in yours. And that kind of outreach is important, especially at the state level, to not just say taxation is theft and we don't like this and we don't like that, but what is the actual doing? What is the actual process of running a successful information campaign about libertarianism? That's a big component of the success in how outreach efforts yield results. So those are the two key things that I would focus on when it comes to outreach. All these coalitions of people that are already in the community and building stronger coalitions and relationships inter-county within the party.
Awesome. Thank you, Robert. Josh, same question. How do you plan to increase outreach by the Libertarian Party of California?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's so many different things I want to attack here. Obviously, coalitions is very important to me. I think that, like I said earlier, I think we can get wins for the Libertarian Party without ever getting someone elected through legislation. So I think that that's really a way to start showing people what we're actually about, what our policies are about, and what we support. And so that's going to be one of the biggest things for me is trying to find a small pivot in the party where we can start focusing on those legislative coalitions. Outside of that, I really want to work on, like I said, some kind of mailing system where we're mailing people that information to people that we think might be interested in the party. I think, letting people know that we're actually doing work is really important. And the best way to do that is to put something in their hands that they can read and has our links on it. And then third, our candidates. Our candidates are our biggest outreach tool. They are the ones who are spreading our message to their communities on a daily basis. And so having candidates who are educated and ready to go out and lead their community is going to be the biggest outreach tool for us. And so I really want candidates that are ready for that fight. And I think that educating our candidates is going to be an amazing thing. So, and I can yield the floor. Those are definitely the three biggest ones for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. Mimi, same question. How do you plan to increase outreach by the Libertarian Party of California?
Okay, so I've got several things that we've already been doing. One of the things has been doing outreach to registered libertarians. We've done some of that. I've sent out emails that have gone to registered libertarians. I think that the biggest thing that we need to do for outreach is we need to get our message out. And so one of the things that I've been given a really great opportunity to do is I've been asked to do a biweekly op-ed for the Southern California News Group, which is 11 newspapers in the Southern California area. Many of those get picked up on other newspapers. And I think that's a great tool because that's going out to, that particular news group has a readership of about 3.8 million people. So I think that, you know, a lot of these ideas are very, very good. And one of the, you know, getting to pull back a little bit, I think that it also includes one of the things, and I agree with Robert and Josh both on this, is helping the counties, because that's where we do most of our growth is at the county level. So we've set up tools for that. That's been one of the things we've been working on, which is an affiliate support committee, which currently has the 2 vice chairs, but ultimately we'll have the area coordinators and others from the 3 areas, and trying to work with the counties. We've sent out some initial surveys to see what would help them the most for their growth and their outreach. So that's one thing. I think that as chair, one of the things that's just a larger issue is, in fact, getting our name out there with things like an op-ed. Also, last year I signed on to an amicus brief, which, talking about coalitions, it's something going to the Supreme Court that is about, it's the Republican Party suing the state of Utah for issues there. I won't go too far into it because I don't have time, but you know, that's working with other parties. I put forth a motion to oppose SB 27, which was opposed by several other parties. I talked to the other parties' chairs, and I do our reach that way. But I think that the main thing is really our candidates. Our candidates, like Josh said, that's where most of our messaging goes out. As a for instance, in Riverside County, they had the largest growth in registered libertarians because they had a strong candidate, Jeff Hewitt. So in the last 2 years, the registration has gone up 42%, and it went up, I believe, 14% just in the last year. This is where we get people interested in the party, going to meetings. We've now got Devin, who's the chair of Fresno, who got involved because she got involved in the Jeff Hewitt campaign and saw what can really happen. So I think it's very important that the state party helps our candidates and gets our message out that way, gets our message out other ways, that it goes out to other people. I don't think that necessarily mailing is the way. That's very expensive. And I know that it isn't all about money, but I don't think that that's the best way to do it. But I think that just getting people to see us, to hear us, and then they come to the meetings, they get involved, they get activated, they're more likely to join, they're more likely to give us money. That's, I think, what we need to work on is getting our messaging so that we organically grow our voter registration, and then that will grow the party in turn. So those are the things that I think are important for outreach. And there's probably more I can come up with, but that's what I came up with off of the top of my head. And I also see that Robert's asking for a rebuttal.
Yeah, so thank you, Mimi, and we will go over to Robert for his rebuttal.
Yes, so again, everybody has great ideas, and these are all great outreach opportunities. But one thing I want to remark about is, from a state level, you know, we obviously have our candidates that are trying to get elected, and through that process, we are certainly doing outreach. But that only happens every 2 years. Instead, one thing I forgot to mention when I initially was making my remarks was, like, and I didn't want to bring it up because it's more of a county thing, but perhaps the state can help out with branding and flyers and materials and a sameness to them, right? So the Santa Clara County Party, we order about 5,000 pieces of materials from National Party. You know, one sheet flyer on Second Amendment, one sheet flyer on Fourth Amendment, one sheet flyer on 10th Amendment, even Spanish translated flyers. And when we're out there at these festivals, we do about 12 festivals a year, the flyers just fly right off the shelf, you know? And so, you know, from a state level, we're not really doing too much as far as festivals and things are concerned. We do, of course, do the state county fair, the state fair up in Sacramento every year. And that's certainly something that's a state-ran endeavor that's great for outreach. But really, when it comes to this concept of bottom-up, the counties driving the party, it's really about creating content, putting it on those flyers, giving the counties access to those. Maybe they've just become activated and they only have an acting chair or something and they don't have too much money. You can just give them the flyers. Just put a table up, put these flyers on the table, start talking to the community. You're a bigger county, you have some behind you. Perhaps you can make it a wash and pay half or pay all of the cost of the flyers. Or we can just send you PDFs of flyers that are same across the board. So that way, someone moves to another county and they go to a festival, they see a Libertarian Party there. It's the same colors, it's the same message across all counties. So that's certainly something the state party.
All right, we've time. Mimi, go ahead. You have 1 minute. Mimi, I believe you're muted.
Darn it, you're right. Okay, sorry, you can take that off my time. I just wanted to do a quick rebuttal to just kind of explain one of the things that I mentioned in passing, which is the Affiliate Support Committee, which we've set up. One of the things that it's exactly for is exactly what Robert is talking about, which is getting resources, getting materials to the counties so that the counties can grow. I don't believe that it's at all logical for the state itself to be going to each of these county fairs, but the counties should be doing that. We need to support them for doing that. So I think that that is something that we've actually already been working on, and that's something that the Affiliate Support Committee is doing. So I just wanted to that was my very quick rebuttal to that.
Thank you, Mimi. And Josh, really quick, a minute, and then we're moving on to the next question.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to rebuttal that I don't think mass mailing in the state to targeted people is actually going to cost too much. And if you look into Project Archimedes, which was a national program similar, the ROI on it was pretty fantastic. So I'd be willing to give up $1,000 to bring in $8,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 and a bunch of new members. So I just wanted to make it very clear that I don't intend to like wastefully spend money from the state party. I intend to do things that are going to have great ROIs for the state. So, and that's it.
Thank you, Josh. And we're actually going to you for the next question. And this is the second highest rated question in the group. What's more important, getting more registered Libertarian voters or getting more members to the state party?
Why not both? I mean, to our candidates, it's obviously going to be getting more registered voters, you know, but to the party, getting more members. And so for me, members are, you know, member retention and donations are what build the infrastructure for our candidates. It's what builds the infrastructure for bringing new registered voters to our side around the state. So I think that it's a chicken before the egg thing. And I really think that we need to build our membership base and you know, build our county affiliates all over the state, the counties that don't have affiliates, and get people involved locally, because that's where we're going to win first is you know, the local elections, you know, and Jeff Hewitt proved that you can step up from one to another, but those local elections are going to be our bread and butter. And so bringing more members to the party, creating more county affiliates, and strengthening those affiliates through the affiliate support committee or whatever venue we need is definitely going to be more important. And then we start bringing registered voters over. And I'll yield my time.
Awesome, thank you. And same question for you, Mimi. What's more important, getting more registered Libertarian voters or getting more members to the state party?
Well, I think that the first thing is getting more registered voters. I truly do. I believe that, you know, we can do targeted mailings out to people to become members. And I think that we don't, you know, although we may get members from that, we don't get them activated. We ask them for $25, but then we don't get them involved. I think that the first thing, and I don't believe that that happens through, I mean, we have done some targeted mailings to certain registered Libertarians and things like that. But I think that another group that we really need to reach out to, which I think will happen organically and not with specific mailings, is is just getting our message out to all of the people in the state, 5.4 million of them, that are no party preference. We also need to get our message out to both Democrats and Republicans, because many of them are fleeing, especially the Republicans. And if you read my op-eds, that was specifically what it was about. So I think that is what we need to do first. And I think from that, then we will organically get more membership and more money. And the two keys that I think we need isn't the $25 from people. We should, get them involved, get them interested, bring them to the meetings, not ask them for $25, but ask them for their time. And as they get invested, they will join. But what we need is the donors, and we need the donors to come. The donors will come organically as we grow our registration, because that's what they look at. They look at our numbers, and our numbers are growing, and they'll, I believe, continue to grow, especially with campaigns like Jeff Hewitt, which was amazing. And like I said, they had the highest number of increased registered voters that were libertarians. So I think that that if we get the registered voters, the rest will come organically. But we need to work on getting those registered voters. And I'll yield the rest of my time if I have any.
Robert, same question.
So yeah, I agree with Mimi on the point of registered voters. That's the key thing. And in fact, my own personal plug here, if you go to robertimhoff.com and load up my campaign website, the first thing that it says on there is we need to set a goal around registered voters. And that goal has to be 2% of all registered voters in California need to be registered libertarian by the end of 2020, basically by the November elections in 2020. Right now, the new numbers just came out, the February 10th odd year numbers just came out. We have 153,000 registered libertarians in the state. Now, that might not sound like much, but when you compare it against 2016, the last presidential election year, it was about 113,000. So we're certainly growing. And some counties are growing faster than other counties. And we need to really look at those numbers and dive in and say, why is registered voters switching to the Libertarian Party increasing faster in this county and not in that other county? Is it just the demographics of the people? Is it the efforts of the county itself? And I think if we start using the numbers game here, we can certainly win on that front. As a great example, Santa Clara County, from 2016 till February of this year, we've increased our registered libertarian voters by 32%, while aggregate across the entire state, the libertarians that have switched over or became libertarians on their 18th birthday right away, it's only about 19% across the state. So we clearly have some ideas when it comes to things like outreach and running candidates that we know what the right things to do to raise those numbers. So if we look at my goal, 2% by 2020, that's 800,000 registered voters by the end of 2020. I also say for a goal that we should have 2% of all of our registered voters should be members of the party. It's 4,000 members. Even at just $25 per member, that's a lot of money that's coming into the party. And that money is important, again, for the counties, because there's dues shares associated with that. You give $25,000 to the county or to the state, $25 to the state, and $12.50 of that goes back to the county. So if a county has 100 members renewed, it's a lot of money coming into the county for them to do those outreach efforts. So yes, membership is absolutely a critical thing, but registered voters, ultimately, that's where you're going to win in the long run. Get those registered voters.
Thank you. Josh, you have a 1 minute rebuttal.
Yeah, I just wanted to clear it up and let you guys know that I still think membership or registered voters are extremely important. I just believe that laying a foundation and infrastructure that builds this party and lifts our candidates up and gets more people in the community and gets more activists on the ground is going to bring us more registered voters. I believe that that's the chicken before the egg, right? So I think they're both super important. I just want to clear that up.
Thank you very much. Mimi, this next question is for you. Who are the libertarians that influence your thoughts and why?
Current or past?
Up to
or
you.
Does it matter? my personal, so I guess for a little background in myself, I've been a registered libertarian since 1982. I was very active on several presidential campaigns during my many years as libertarian. Harry Browne was absolutely, for me, the penultimate libertarian. I thought he was amazing. I worked on both of his campaigns. So, you know, I would say that he definitely helped shape me. I mean, I go back to, for me, you know, 1982, that's a long time ago. Currently, there are so many awesome libertarians that, and it's for different ways and different reasons. Like, for instance, Jeff Hewitt. I mean, what he's doing is he's doing the real work. So I think what he's doing for our party right now is more than just about anybody else, because he's gotten this national attention for the fact that he won that race. And he won it first by doing something very libertarian, which was what he did for the fire department in Calamasa. So, you know, do they influence my thoughts every day? Yeah, Jeff definitely does. Harry Browne does. A lot of libertarians do. I think that I would even go back further and say that Milton Friedman probably influenced my thoughts more so than anybody, or Adam Smith, going back to the very beginning and Wealth of Nations. So you know, that it's a hard question because there's just so many really amazing libertarians.
Thank you so much, Mimi. Next up, Robert. Who are the libertarians that influence your thoughts and why?
Yeah, I have 3 that come directly to mind, and I'll break down each of them. I'll just list them here. The first one is Andrew Heaton of Reason TV, if you know who that is. And another one, John Stossel. Most people know John Stossel. And then finally, the one that's absolutely my favorite libertarian, and I feel like every day I'm learning something new about this person and about liberty itself from them, is Rose Wilder Lane. She was the founder of the American libertarian philosophy. So I'll start with the fun one first. Andrew Heaton. For those of you who don't know, he used to do this thing called Mostly Weekly on Reason TV. Now he mostly does these comedic satire things for Reason TV. And what I really enjoy about him as a libertarian is he finds a way to market and brand libertarian values in a fun, engaging way. And, you know, I just learn so much on accident. A great example is his Christmas satire that he did last year that was published in December of 2018. And he was pretending like he was Scrooge and some guy, and they were Tiny Tim. And he said this one statement that, you know, it just never really dawned on me that it was important to say this, but it was a big aha moment. And the guy was mad that he hates poor people and it's unfair that he's rich. And his remark back was, you know, we should not be asking ourselves, why are people poor? We should be asking ourselves, why are people rich in the world? Because the natural state of humankind is poverty. And just sitting and stewing in that and thinking about that really gave me a big aha. John Stossel, obviously, I love his consumer gotcha thing from his past. And again, it's breaking down like, isn't this just silly how the world operates today? Libertarianism is the answer. And then finally, because I know I'm running out of time, so I'm speeding through these, but I really wanted to remark Rose Wilder Lane. Just absolutely, for those of you who don't know her, she was the daughter of the woman that wrote the Little House on the Prairie books. And she was a large part of actually getting those books cleaned up and presentable and published. But she was part of the women's suffrage movement here in the United States. She was one of the first people to call out and say, these Jim Crow laws have to go away in the South. And this was in, you know, the 30s and the 40s of American history that she was really getting involved in these things. In fact, she started off for 3 years of her life. Oh, okay. Well, I'll end it there. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And Josh Smith.
Yeah, thanks. There's so many names. you know, when I started thinking about the libertarian philosophy, I think about Mises and Rothbard and you know, the Austrian economics. I mean, that's really what cemented my libertarian beliefs. It's the philosophy that I try my very hardest to adhere to every day. It's the economic model that I push for through the party and my activism. So yeah, I mean, Rothbard really cemented stuff for me. Mises, later on, I finally went through and read all of Human Action. And if you don't realize, that book is about that thick. As far as activism goes, you know, I really am in the Larry Sharp, Alex Merced, Michael Pickett's camp. You know, these are guys that I see trying to put their hands into everything and all the activism that they possibly can in the most positive way they can do it. And so, you know, they've had a real influence on me, you know, especially Larry during my chair campaign, and being able to sit down with him in several different states and really understand that this activism means a lot to people. And so they kind of help fuel my activism and keep me going. And so those are the people that immediately come to mind. But I could literally list people and philosophers and economics guys all day long for the rest of this panel. I could easily do that. So thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Robert, this question's for you. Do you think the state party should push local candidates or state level candidates?
You know, I saw that on the Facebook page today as a suggestion, and I'm really glad that it made the cut for conversation today. You have to look at it when you're running for state senate and state assembly. That might be have the appearance of being a local candidate. When I ran for state assembly 25, it was split between Alameda County and Santa Clara County. So if you don't have the state party there supporting the counties and their efforts for candidates in these pseudo state level, you know, when I think state level, like Senate or governor or treasurer, you know, or board of equalization, right? Those are state level candidates. The state should definitely focus on those, absolutely, but they need to support the state senate, the state assembly. And then of course, they have to support everybody, whether you're running for a water board that only encompasses 8 blocks, or you're running for, you know, county supervisor, and it's strictly in a county, and everything in between there within the county. You know, if you have the resources of playbooks for marketing, people at the ready to help out with FPPC reports, people that are willing to do precinct walking and coordinating these types of efforts, you know, great line-in on places where you can write op-eds, where you could have reporters that are really friendly to mention these candidates. The state should have that master treasure trove of knowledge and share it with whoever wants to run for office. But certainly things like the state senate and the state assembly, they have to be a key pivotal role, not just from a financial standpoint, but from an organizational standpoint for those types of roles. So thank you very much.
And Mimi, same question.
I'm sorry, you cut out. Am I now?
Actually, Josh, I'm sorry.
I thought it was Josh now. Okay.
It's actually Josh.
All right.
Yeah,
So
it is Josh. Do you think the state party should push local candidates or state level candidates?
You cut out, but I think that they should push both, and I think that we really need to start targeting our state level races with people that are ready to take on those races. You know, I think state assembly races are very important. You know, the gubernatorial race is very, very important. These are important races, but we need to target those races and figure out where we can find some success and put the right candidate in those positions. Outside of that, I think we need to start working on localities, because there's a saying, all politics is local, and that's where, you know, that's where people feel the politics the most. That's when people are going to come in and fine you for not mowing your lawn or moving your RV off the side of your house. And so, you know, we can really start making a difference and showing at the local level that libertarian policies can enrich the lives of our constituents. And so I think giving some extra help to those candidates at the county and city level is really going to help. And so I would like to get focused, targeted state candidates that that we could support for the state party, and then also help the county affiliates with their their local elections and do some targeting there and find out where we can get wins for mayor and city council and school board and stuff like that. So it's really, I really can't pick. I think both are very important to the state party and our messaging and our outreach. But I do think we need to target our races. So thanks.
Thank you. And before Mimi answers this question, after she answers, we're going to go into closing statements. So Mimi, why don't you go ahead and answer the question, should the state party focus on local candidates or state level candidates?
Well, I think that we need to focus on both, but I think more importantly, and Josh said it, I think we need to focus on all politics are local. I think that's where we have our best chance of outreach and success. It's kind of like what Apollo Pizzella did last year. What we need to do is we need to target winnable races, and we need to really help all of our candidates, but especially those in the races that we have a very good chance of winning. So I'm not discounting the other offices, but I'm saying, like, I believe that in order to win, you have to have a resume. I truly believe that. And I think, not to bring up Jeff Hewitt again, but that's exactly what he did. And I think that that's very important. Now, as far as visibility, we still need to support our other candidates for things like state assembly, state senate. I've ran twice. I ran once for state senate and once for state assembly. In both of those campaigns, with not that much money, I was able to get a lot of people involved in hearing our message. So I think it is very important we do that. I think that one of the things we should continue doing is looking for seats, especially that have opportunities for write-in candidates, because it is very hard to progress to the top too. I think that where we really need to focus, though, is helping the counties help their county and city level, down to boards, down to parks and recs, getting those people, we need to target that. And then we need to also help people with their state assembly and senate runs. And I believe one of the things that I've been talking about since I got involved is that one of the things I'd like to be able to offer is an actual paid treasurer for those candidates, because the FPPC can be very difficult. And that, I kind of digress, but I think they're all important, but I think that we need to focus primarily for getting wins at the lower levels, and then supporting our candidates for other state levels, more for the visibility and hopefully for the win. But as we get more of the down ticket races won, we'll have a better chance at the higher ticket races. And just because that's why I know I did it backwards, not the way that I'm saying that you should do it now. But my next run is going to be in 2022 for state or for city council, and I'm going to be, a lot of what I'm doing now is focusing toward that. I think name recognition I got, but that's, I think, what we need to do is focus on city level for the win.
Thank you. Now we'll go ahead and move into the closing statements. Each candidate has 5 minutes, and we're going to start with Joshua Smith. Your closing statement, please.
I just want to say thank you again to the Libertarian Party of Los Angeles for hosting this. Michael, again, thank you for taking time out of your insanely busy schedule to moderate. And thank you to my two opponents. I want to end this by saying, I ran for national chair last year and it was extremely ugly. And I am more than grateful to have run against Mimi and Robert and have this be so nice. Everybody's been extremely nice to each other, and I appreciate that. Look, at the end of the day, I think I have a fire and intensity for our party and our policies and our candidates, and I think I've learned the tools over the last 2 years to really help the California State Party be more successful. I wouldn't be running if I didn't. It's not that I think anybody is bad. I just think that I have the correct ideas and the correct vision for the party. And outside of that, I hope to see everybody in Concord next weekend, and I hope to get that vote from you. Thank you very much.
Robert, closing statement, please.
Yes. Los Angeles County, I can't thank you guys enough. It looks like there wasn't going to be any opportunity at the convention itself to have this and to be able to scramble and get this. I shouldn't say scramble. You guys did a really great job just putting this all together in haste, and it's been a really wonderful opportunity to be here today. But two core things I want to focus on my closing statements. and they hit at the heart of why I'm running for state chair. And it has everything to do with execution. Things are certainly in a better direction with the Libertarian Party of California. There's no doubt about that. We have more active activists. We have more people wanting to be participating in roles, and we have a lot more people running for office as a result of these things. Registration is in fact up across the board, and we're getting more and more counties that are becoming active, and not just active in having elections and having officers, but active in doing things. These are all great things. However, we need to put our foot all the way down on the accelerator and get things moving a lot faster. And so 2 core things come to mind. Number one, in the last year, I just have not seen the improvement with candidate support that we really need. The Candidate Support Committee and the Executive Committee of the state of California has said time and time again over the last 12 months or the last 18 months that candidates are important. However, only a small handful of people got financial support. Nobody got direct support from these committees that has been reported. Perhaps there is a lot of support for a lot of candidates, but we just don't know about it. It's very opaque. It's not very transparent. The Candidate Support Committee should show, here's all the documents that we have at the ready when somebody calls and says, I want to run. Once they actually run, here's what we've done every step of the way to help them. I look at Mr. Hancock out of the San Diego area. He called up, I talked to him for 45 minutes, convinced him to run. He sold a Bitcoin, he ran. I followed up with him afterwards and said, has anybody reached out to you? No. Is anybody helping you with your campaign? No. Do you have all the contact info for the Candidate Support Committee? I do. You reached out to them? I have. What has happened? Nothing. So we just had an election cycle. We had a bunch of candidates that needed help and asked for help. We didn't see them get it. We need to improve our candidate support. The second thing is goals. And that's my primary focus of all of my marketing online and on my website, is you have to set goals. You want 50 people to run for office statewide. That's a good goal. Some people might say, oh, you shouldn't say we need 200 libertarians. That's not the way to do it. That's fine. We can have that debate. But we can set other goals. We need X amount of money coming into the treasury. We need goals like somebody's going to manage the Twitter account, and the Twitter account is going to have 10 tweets a week, and they're going to be good quality tweets. That's a simple goal. We don't have any of those. We just have tweets need to be done. Facebook needs stuff. Emails should go out. We set a goal and we didn't achieve it. So I will say this party hasn't set no goals explicitly. One goal we did set was we're going to have a newsletter, and we're going to pay somebody for that newsletter. And so far that goal hasn't been achieved, and nobody's monitoring that. And I think that's important to say, okay, it's been over 2 quarters since we agreed to give this person money for the newsletter. Where's our newsletter? So we have 1 minute left. Is that what I'm being told? 1 minute. And then finally, Rebecca asked to have something brought up, and I guess it didn't come up here. And now my mind is going blank because I got the 1 minute warning. Goals, newsletter. I forget what I was trying to address Rebecca's question, but I don't remember what it was. I'm sorry, Rebecca. Good luck with John's toss-up. I'll go ahead and yield the rest of my time. And of course, anybody can email me or reach out to me if you have additional questions. Thank you.
My turn now?
Yes, go ahead, Mimi.
I wasn't sure if you could hear me or not. I thought I unmuted myself. Well, in closing, first of all, I want to thank the County of Los Angeles for putting this together. I think that you did a fabulous job. I know that you reached out several weeks ago about this, and there was kind of a delayed reaction, but I'm glad that it got put together, and I'm glad that we're doing this. I think it's really important that people are able to hear from the 3 candidates, and I'm actually really thrilled that there are 3 candidates. I think that that's fabulous. It shows that we are growing as a party. It's not just somebody that, oh yeah, I guess I'll do it kind of a thing. We all want to do it, and we all want to do it for reasons. And for me, I came in mid-term of somebody else's term. There was a lot of things that weren't being done properly or weren't processing properly or things like that. There was a lot of things that I mean, there's no real transparency. There's just things that came up that took a lot of my time that I didn't recognize were going to be issues, which were. So I've been working on that. I'm anxious to have 2 years of full term in order to accomplish so many of the goals that I have, which I do have goals. I think that the one difference, though, is that I set goals for myself and I set goals for trying to get people activated, not necessarily for telling them what their goals should be. But that's just a question of different ways that people deal with things, and that's the way I've dealt with things in my life. As far as things like the newsletter, that is, I just want to touch on that. That's an absolutely excellent point, and I will tell you that we do have a contract, and I will tell you that there are being conversations about that, but unfortunately it hasn't been done. So one of the things I'm looking at is looking at a completely different way of doing this, having more people. I know that the social media committee has been setting more goals. They've been scheduling posts, and our likes have gone way up, and our Twitter, same thing. We've got somebody very active on Twitter. We didn't for a long time, but we do now. And I think that these things are growing, and we have new people coming in and new people wanting to participate. I have lots of people that I didn't know before because they weren't part of our inner circle that are now volunteering and wanting to get involved. And I think that that's wonderful because that's what we need. So in closing, I hope that I've done a good job in the last year. I think that in the end, we've done much better, and I believe that I'm just about out of time. So I'll just say thank you all so much. Thank you for having this. Thank you for hosting this. And if you ever want anything more from me, email me, call me. I always answer my phone. I've got a website, AnnaRobson.com. It's got more information. And thank you all so much. And thank you to the other two candidates. And thank you, Michael, for taking your time for this. You've done a fabulous job.
Yes, thank you, candidates. Libertarians in California, you have a very important decision coming up. Luckily for you, you have 3 wonderful candidates. After listening to your answers, all 3 of you would make fabulous chairs. And thank you, Angela, and everyone for having us. Would you like to say something, Angela?
You're muted, Angela.
I did it too. Thank you, everyone from LA County's Libertarian Party. We look forward to seeing you all at the convention in just a couple weeks or less. It's just around the corner, April 5th through 7th. Come and vote. If you've been registered as a party member at any point in the past, you can come as a delegate. Get on ca.lp.org/convention. Sign up. Drive on up there or drive on down there if you're coming from up north. Come out and vote. It's really important. And we look forward to seeing you all there. And we look forward to doing lots of great activism and running candidates with you in the future. So thanks, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream, and it's been recording, so the candidates will get a copy as soon as it uploads and it's shareable.
Cool. Thank you so much, Angela. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.